I just don't think the effort of doing this whole slowly pushes down and gets on you, and you're just, I don't know. Stupid. This has been my van for over half a decade, and we've now been on build 2.0 for a year now. So I figured it's time to address some of the biggest mistakes I made while building this van, some of the things I wish I had done differently, and also address what I might change before our next traveling adventure. Let's jump into it. Looking in here, I'm really happy with the front half of the van design-wise. I think we used the space as best as we could. Integrating that two-person bench seat, I think works really well. I like the overhead bins, I like the windows. This is definitely my favorite section of the van. The back of the van has some bigger usability design stuff that doesn't work out the way I had hoped. So we'll get to that, but let's talk about some of the smaller problems first. So right here is our quick disconnect exterior shower, which I absolutely love. Hot showers after surfing in the cold is amazing. But this quick disconnect, I kind of messed this up. So I can reach the mixer valves to change temperature as I'm showering, but the valves themselves in the quick disconnect is a little bit too far forward. So if the door accidentally closes with this still attached, it actually hits it and bounces off, and it's plastic, so it'll probably break soon, and I'll have to replace it. If I just gone an inch back, that would have been preferable. So this rear drawer is kind of a love-hate relationship. I'm really proud of the drawer because it's very functional and it holds a lot of weight. But there's trade-offs to the height of it. So we made it tall enough to hold our electric bike, so that way we could put the bike inside of the van and not worry about it being stolen. But in hindsight, that has repercussions to our bed height that now, after a year of usage, I don't think was a worthy trade-off. We're gonna get back to the bed, but I do love that the tailgate system here actually works, where it flips down and it's very easy to access. I like that it's full length, so when you pull it out, you can access some of those items that would traditionally be deeper in your garage, stuff that I have found to be kind of dead storage space in my previous builds. I'm still so in love and proud of the custom roof rack that I built. This is like the pinnacle of my fabricating abilities. So up here on the roof, I'm happy with the solar layout. We've got 750 watts, but I'm not happy with the panels that I went with. I specifically chose these ones because of the width, and I designed the roof rack around it so that way the panels could sit inside, but they aren't durable enough. This was shattered from just a small drop of a wrench onto it. It wasn't even at a sharp angle or anything, and it just shattered. So I wish I got solar panels that were better, that you could actually stand on, because it would be cool to just be able to stand on my roof sometimes. And I had to add these aluminum struts in between each of them. There's an aluminum bar there, so that way I could actually walk across my roof without breaking the panels. Oh. So this little white antenna is our 4G cell phone booster. Complete waste of money. I think I spent over $500 on it. And it makes no noticeable difference in our download speed. It tells me I have better signal, but it's not actually a better signal, which is what it was advertised to do. So maybe I have just a faulty unit. Maybe some people get better performance out of theirs, but I think it was a complete waste of money. And maybe someone wants to recommend one that actually works, because I still would like to be able to get better data in the middle of nowhere. The double seat swivels, to me, on the captain chairs are an absolute must. This is the two-person bench seat, and we designed most of the interior to work around. And this here is the seat in the driving position. This is often actually where I sit when I film videos in here. I kind of sit right there on that left chair and try to frame a shot to show most of the van to make the space look bigger. Having the window there is really clutch, but this seat rotates to this position, and that all works really well. So I've had some problems with my forward electrical box table arm setup. I love this Lagoon arm, which allows for a flexible, rotational, removable table. But because the van walls are curved, I can't put the arm right up against the wall without the top rotational piece knocking into the wall and not allowing you to rotate it. To solve that, I made this box, which I also designed to store some key electrical components, and the box holds the arm away from the wall far enough to actually get some really good rotation and movement out of it. So it's almost perfect, but for some reason I put the outlets on the side of it, so it's very hard to get down there and use them. And I should have done them on the face of the unit. And then another issue is, for some reason, the table slants slightly away, like downwards, the further away from the mount it is. So I need to shim the mount somehow. And then a third problem is the electrical box has so many electronics and fuses and relays in it that when I'm using my exterior lights and all those relays are running, those fuse areas actually get very hot and it doesn't have breathability. These overhead bins get a ton of use and they're probably my favorite storage area in the van. The problem though is the hinges or the door lifts from Bloom that we got. The swing arc of them is too big, so it smacks the door face into the roof, which is why we have these leather straps here to kind of dampen it. But if I just swing a drawer up without stopping it like this, it just smacks into the roof, which is not good. So we've gotten used to slowing it down by hand, but overall I'm just not very impressed with the build quality. The plastic covers have broken on one of them, and I don't know, they cost me a lot of money and they aren't performing as well as I'd kind of hoped. So from a filming perspective, something I regret is not putting in at least 2 more sets of lights up here, because when it's dark out, 6 lights that we have, 2 there and 4 over the bed, aren't quite enough ambient light in here for filming. It would just be nice to have a little bit more light to work with. Moving back here, we like this pantry area, love the fridge, very expensive but worth it so far. This, we don't like how big the door is. It's just kind of a bit of a monster. It's so big. We wish we had done 2 doors here. Panning to our left, this area never got finished. That's obviously a problem. We planned to build shelving in here. We ran out of time, so I built those ones, built these, and didn't put stuff in between. Down there's our battery bank, so I've been trying to think through how to best utilize this area, and I thought I'd come up with some good ideas, but I'm really not too sure right now. I might just do double doors with shelves inside, but if anybody has creative ideas for how to best utilize this space, let me know, because I definitely want to cover up those butt joints on those cedar planks, because that was not supposed to be visible. So there is some issues with our food prep galley area in our build. We really like the cover for the sink and how it's flush mount to give us counter space back. And then you can hide your dishes in our nice deep sink when you're not quite ready to do them yet. But because this is made out of wood, when we go to different climates, the humidity changes actually bends the board like a banana, and it looks really funny. It also swells and gets stuck. So I've already gone and took off some material around the edges so it fits a little bit more loosely but doesn't make noise when driving. But I need to find a way to get it to stop bending, which I think reinforcements on the bottom will work. However, as a whole in our interior here, we are not happy with the dark cabinet faces. We thought it might be a nice breakup of just straight white, but because the cedar ended up coming out, I think a little darker than I expected, it's just too much dark. And so this big brown face to us looks ugly, and these faces down the side of the bed, it doesn't really suit us. So we wanna get those painted white kind of as soon as possible. As I continue to break down some of these problems, it's also helpful to just address at some point that our goals going into this build have basically been met, in the sense that it's a cabin on wheels that we enjoy spending time with. On the coastal climate, we can host people in here. When it's raining outside, we feel like we've got room in here. We've got windows so we can see outside. It's got power for days, so for my work with production, I can use this as a work vehicle, charge all my things. I never run out of power, which is so awesome. We can run hot water heaters, hot water kettles. We're like the lithium ion batteries that I have are just amazing. So there's no problems there, and I'm going to continue to point out some of these other little annoyances. And I guess it's helpful to just keep in mind as you do your own build, whatever it is you're working on is what is important to you, and just acknowledge that you want to keep those priorities actual priorities, and you don't make too many compromises with what you see other people do on the internet, because the common best practices that you see most DIY van builders do might not actually be the best way that your van would work for you. And that's why we're building our own vans anyways, is so we can customize it to how we want to use it. So even as I show you this stuff here, maybe you would go, I don't like those decisions. And some of them I might agree with you, but some of them I go, hey, that's just the way we built it for our taste. We prioritize having 4 seatbelts, and maybe you don't care about that. So that's just a little footnote in here as we continue to pick apart things I don't like. But come on, check out this location. Trees, mountains, green everywhere, not a building in sight. I love just coming out to these spots and working out of the van. It's such a, I feel very grateful for that. And to be able to do mobile work is pretty cool, and to have such a sweet van to work out of, even though we're talking about the problems I have with it, it certainly is, it's pretty awesome. I want to tell you about the sponsor of this video before we continue on, and it's our friends over at Squarespace. And I actually use that service to help enable the flexible lifestyle that I live, where my production company website, where I get most of my work from, is actually built on Squarespace. And I've been a customer long before they became a sponsor. And the reason for that was just how straightforward and easy it was to use, yet the results look fantastic. And for me, it's such a peace of mind knowing that I can quickly update and change things while I'm out on the go, and just know that the website is going to continue to work flawlessly, and the features I can integrate into it for a contact form or scheduling features or my online store for selling swag for the YouTube channel, it's all run by me off a laptop in my van, and I'm not a web designer, not a web developer, and I think the results speak for themselves. So head on over to Squarespace to start a free trial and see how simple it is to use. And when you're ready to commit, make sure you use my code for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Let's go talk about the big problems that I have. Okay, let's address plywood issues. We used Baltic birch for a lot of our cabinet building because it's used by cabinet makers and it's very sturdy, high quality stuff. The problem is we use 3/4 for a lot of our faces of things, and that is overkill. The reason why we use 3/4 is because I bought the hinges first and they needed that much thickness to be able to do the drill in and mount, because if it was 1/2 inch, it would have just drilled through the other side. And I should have just returned the hinges and bought a different set, but I mean, sometimes you just go down a road and just keep going down that road when you should really back up and fix the first problem, which was I shouldn't have been using hinges that needed 3/4 faces. I wish we had gone with 5/8 Baltic birch. We used some 1/2 inch stuff around for the drawer sides and things like that. I think 5/8 would have been a nice middle ground because it's meaty enough to get a good 1/2 inch screw in there, and you can structurally build things that are going to be very sturdy and square. I don't know, I just ended up using too much 3/4. Like even our Galley, the ends of it are 3/4 and it's overkill. Now I want to break down what is the biggest design mistake I think I made in this van. And I am glad that I tried something out of the box that I hadn't seen other people do, but for a while I think I've been telling myself that it's better than it is because it was unique and out of the box, and I've just had to come to accept that the negatives outweigh the positives at this point, which is why I'm gonna try change the bed system. So the positives, there's a bench seat here. If we want to have 6 people in our van, there's flexible usable space where we can have a lot of people sitting in here. We can host people, and it's nice that there's so much seating, spacious area. I didn't want the van to feel like it was all storage. I wanted to feel like a nice living space. In reality, we haven't used this bench seat anywhere near enough to make the compromises of it worth it. So running with the theory that we wanted the bike to fit in the garage height-wise, that meant that our bed is at this height. The compromise of that we knew going into that is that height-wise, I can't sit up here comfortably in a way that I'm not slouching in an awkward position. So I was already ruling out me being able to sit on the bed, which is a lot of surface area that's cozy to give up sitting in on a nice rainy day. But I told myself that would be okay because we had 6 seats. I now regret that. I would prefer to have a lower bed so I could sit in it. So that's just one decision. That's just the bike decision. Because I'm 6'3", we had to do the lengthwise bed because I can't sleep sideways in this van. And we are happy with the width of the current bed with the shelving along the side. Using this wardrobe hampers on the side, losing that width, that's okay with us. But most of my gripes and usability stuff come from this bench seat. And the theory was that when we wanted to get into it, we flip this up and then this comes up. But doing that over and over again just starts to get annoying, and the padding always pushes it down. It ends up being an annoying storage area to use. But yeah, we need to rethink how this area is used, because this all could be helpful storage. And even right here next to the Galley, the place for my feet, it's just like a catch-all for crap. We just accumulate shoes and little tripods and paper towels in this area. And it's a big area that can have drawers here, and it's just like a catch-all junk area. And so it doesn't really feel like this whole nook worked out the way that I wanted. I mentally pictured this area being like a nice workstation if you're sitting at this bench, so people could work separated in the van, get a little separated space. I just don't think the effort of doing this whole flip up stupid thing. I'm so sick of flipping this up, doing this, and then when you're going to the bathroom at nighttime, this slowly pushes down and gets on you, and you're just, I don't know. But even if I was to keep this bench lid seat thing, it's breaking. For some reason I thought it was fine to use cabinet hinges, but because there's these high-powered gas struts to try hold up the lid, I kept adding more struts to hold the weight because it kept falling down. They're so powerful that they've broken off my hinges. So even if we wanted to keep this setup, we would have to change it, and it's just not, it's not living up to what I had hoped it would. The Nature's Head toilet is another thing. I feel like I could probably do a whole video on that. It's fundamentally not worth $1,500 in my opinion. The Nature's Head in general, it's 18.5 inches tall, 22 inches wide, and there's air hoses coming out of the side that you have to accommodate. It's a hard shaped thing to incorporate into a build. Like where's a good place to put it? Like it's a hard shaped thing to incorporate into a build. And because we primarily use the Nature's Head for liquids, it fills up very fast with 2 people using it. And the little jug that's included for storing urine and emptying it is just, it's not big enough. I almost wish that the whole composting department was for liquids, because it fills up so frequently and we accidentally fill it up all the way. It's very hard to see if it's full if it's in a seat like this, because you can't see the wall of the jug. You can only see it from the top down. So it's not very clear when it's full. So it's very easy to accidentally overfill it. And the amount of times I've gotten urine on my hands emptying this toilet is just, it's frustrating. And yeah, I could empty it every single day, but I just feel like, why not be peeing into a bucket then? Like what's the $1,500 here really getting me if I don't use the solids compartment that much? So on top of wishing that this overall bed height was down even just a half a foot, I do wish now that we had a fixed bed out to here, like most Sprinter van builds with the fixed bed, and that this was a solid face down with drawers in it. And maybe at the bottom we could figure out a way to do a slide out toilet if we're dead set on keeping the Nature's Head. That's most of the problems that I can think of for now. I'm sure there's more that I will continue to run into, but I hope this was thought-provoking for whatever stage you're at with your build, or maybe you haven't even started, but maybe this will get some of those gears turning to start thinking about what do you want to prioritize. That's gonna be it for this one. Make sure you let me know what kind of van content you want in the future, or just videos in general. I'll catch you in the next video. Remember, life's better when you make stuff. Peace.